What's up everyone, Mo here. Today we're going to make Coney Island hot dogs. This is a very old recipe, so you're going to see some weird ways of doing things, but I'll let it slide because it's an old recipe. Anyways, let's get started. So if you're a fan of my stuff, then you know that I don't like using ground beef, but this time I'm actually going to let you use it. Also, here come the spices. Salt, pepper, cayenne, paprika, chili powder, and chipotle powder. You can add other things like garlic or onion powder. You can just go all out, but this is just my version of it. So there you go. Now don't worry about writing this down because all the amounts are going to be on the website. Then we're going to add an actual garlic and some butter. And yes, I know it's weird. We're not sauteing any of this. It's a weird method, but just go with it. We're going to add about half an onion or a little bit more if you want. Also going to add some sort of tomato product. I'm going to use tomato paste. You can use ketchup or a crushed tomato, but this will work. I'm also going to add a few tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce. I'm just going to eye it. It's probably like 2 or 3. It doesn't matter really. It's going to be your preference. Now I'm going to add the water. This is where a lot of people deviate the recipe. Some people will add enough water just so it kind of makes it to a little bit of a chili. Other people will make it so much water that they'll grind it all in the blender or stick blender. It'll be a nice thick meat sauce, which is actually pretty nice too. So it's going to very much depend on what you want. I'm making more of a thick chili. Okay, this is going to be a bit of a weird method, but I told you, this is a weird recipe. Some people go in with their hands. I'm going to grab a potato masher. And by the way, this is on the highest setting right now, so it'll heat up. Make sure you get it into really fine bits. Again, you could have used a food processor, but you know what? That's something you're going to dirty up. You could have used a knife as well, but again, you would have dirtied that up too, and a cutting board. And raw meat's not fun to clean up. So just give it a mashing. It won't take too long. There we go. That's pretty good. That's the consistency I want. It'll depend on what you want. Some people really grind it up after. Now, I'm going to start mine on high, and then when it starts simmering really well, I'm going to put it to low, to maybe medium low, for about an hour, uncovered, please. So I want to talk about my spaghetti and meat sauce recipe for a second. If you haven't seen it, check it out. I'll put a link below in the description. That meat sauce took about 4 hours to do. It was very tender and very flavorful. It was amazing. That would work amazing for these hot dogs. But most of you probably wouldn't want to take 4 hours just to make one hot dog. Don't. But whenever you do make a sauce like that, or like this one, make sure you make a lot of extra. Either of these meat sauces, they could go great in a sandwich, on a bun, in a roll. You could dip some bread into it. You can make some nachos. And again, for my other meat sauce, the spaghetti one, you could use it for the hot dogs that we're making right now. So whenever you make a meat sauce, always make extra. That way you're going to have plenty for other uses. And it freezes well for 3 to 6 months. Now that is what I'm talking about. Give it a stir and taste to adjust. I added a bit more salt, pepper, and just a bit of extra spices in it. You don't really have to. This is going to be up to you and your taste buds. So now, let's start the plating. Now I brushed some garlic oil on these hot dog buns, then I toasted them at 400 degrees. I did it on the inside and on the outside. Trust me, you're gonna want to try this. I'll post a recipe for the garlic oil in the description below. Now one signature thing I like to do, I like to put some ketchup and some mustard just on the inside of the hot dog buns as well. That way it gets more flavor throughout. Come on. There you go. You want to use a squeeze bottle like this. You can get them at a dollar store or a restaurant supply store for very cheap. I'll show you why in a second. I also boiled some hot dogs for 8 minutes. That's another traditional Coney Island thing. Now, let's start topping it off with what we like. So, let's start with the chili sauce. Now, some people put it in their blender and grind it into like a paste or the stick blender, but not me. I want it this way this time, and I'm gonna have it. So, give as much as you want. Maybe a little bit more should do the job. There we go. I don't care if it falls apart in my hands. A good hot dog is a good hot dog. There's no nice and pretty way to eat it, just like some nice ribs. Onions are also nice, whether they be sauteed or raw. I'm going to go raw this time because I really enjoy it. Shallots would also do really well. Okay, that should do for now. Next up, jalapenos. I like to slice mine very thin with a very good knife. That way it's not so spicy, but you get the heat and a bit of the flavor. You can take out the membrane and the seeds. It'll be a little bit less spicy. This is why I like the thin bottle. You notice I get these little thin strips of mustard and ketchup. I don't want these big fat blobs that kind of overpower and they just give you so much at once. It's just not good. So again, these are very cheap and they're pretty good. Whoops, I'll fix that in a second. There we go. Still looks nice. Okay, next up, why not? Just put a little bit of parsley on top. It'll make it taste nice and kind of look a bit prettier, but there's so much going on here anyways. And that's it, Coney Island hot dogs. I hope you enjoyed the video. As you can see, it wasn't too hard to make. Give it a try. I'm going to post a few things in the description. My garlic oil and my other meat sauce recipe. Also visit my website mos-kitchen.blogspot.ca for all the ingredient amounts. And as always, enjoy!